I can't tell you how many consultations I've had where we get to the end of the conversation and a mom says to me, okay, this all sounds amazing, but how does coaching actually work? It's such a fair question because unless you've worked with a coach before, coaching can feel a little bit mysterious. Even if you have worked with a coach before, everyone seems to do it a little differently. You might hear me talking about mindset, about accountability, about business strategy and thought work. But what actually happens during a coaching session? What are we talking about for an hour every week? And how does that actually help you build a business? And how does that actually help you build a life you love? Today, I want to reveal a little bit about what it's like to go through the coaching process with me. I'm going to walk you through exactly what coaching with me looks like from our very first session through 6 months together so that you can decide whether it's the kind of support you've been looking for. Information is the best way to make decisions, and I'm going to give you some of that information today. Welcome to How to Quit Your Job, the podcast for moms ready to ditch the 9-to-5 and build a life and business they love. I'm your host, Jenna Reichel. Let's go. Hi, mom friends. We're about halfway through the year as I'm recording this. Maybe you imagine that by now you'd be making progress towards leaving your job. Maybe you thought you'd already have your business idea figured out. Maybe you promised yourself that this would be the year that things would change. And again, life, work, motherhood, and everything else may have gotten in the way. And if that's you, I want you to know something. It is not too late. Change doesn't take years. Sometimes it happens surprisingly fast. Not because your circumstances magically change overnight, but because your thinking changes, your confidence changes, your willingness to take action changes, your desire to take action changes. If I had to summarize coaching in one sentence, I'd say this: coaching is a cheat code. Not because it makes building a business so easy, but because it dramatically shortens the amount of time you spend stuck. It gives you accountability, thought partnership, perspective, strategy, someone who isn't emotionally attached to the problem that you're trying to solve. So today, I want to explain exactly how coaching works with me, what the sessions really feel like, and why so many moms tell me that coaching became one of the best investments they've made in themselves. Let's start with who coaching is actually for. Coaching is designed as a support system to help you get to your next level, whatever that next level might be. If you're someone whose life is objectively pretty good, you're successful, you're high functioning, you're taking care of your family, you're doing all the things, but something feels off. Maybe something feels misaligned. You're craving more purpose. Maybe you're wondering if there's something more you're meant to be doing. That's where coaching becomes incredibly powerful. I specifically help moms build businesses because our careers take up such a huge portion of our lives. And I know from experience what it's like to spend 40 or 50 hours every week doing work that doesn't light you up. So I help moms transition from work that no longer fits into creating something that's their own. Whether they already have a business idea, whether they barely have a business idea, or have absolutely no idea, all of that is okay. I've had plenty of moms who come to me who couldn't even tell me what they were good at. And this is all incredibly normal. Together, I figure that out with the moms I work with. We figure out your strengths. We discover what lights you up. We identify what people will actually pay for from those two answers. We create a plan. Then we bring it to life, all while working through the mental drama that inevitably shows up when you start showing up. Fear, perfectionism, people pleasing, the fear of hearing no, the fear of putting yourself out there, the fear of making the wrong decision. All of that shows up when we're building something meaningful, when we are stepping out of our comfort zone and doing work that lights us up. So all of that is important to know about the process. Let's talk a little bit about logistics. I work with moms generally for 6 months. I do have a few shorter packages for unique situations, but 6 months is really the sweet spot. It's enough time to go from having very little, or maybe just a tiny spark of an idea, to building something that's ready to bring in revenue. Most of my clients begin generating revenue by the end of coaching, or some even within the first couple months of coaching. Depending on how long it takes to develop the idea and to really decide the next step, the next chapter that is going to light you up. We never want to build a business that you hate. So sometimes that takes a little longer, which is okay. And so that means sometimes revenue comes in a little later. But every client finishes those 6 months knowing exactly what their business is and exactly how they're going to sign their first clients to make their first dollars. I also meet with my moms every week. I've experimented with different coaching schedules over the years, and weekly has been by far the most effective because momentum is fleeting. Momentum is fragile. You can feel amazing on Monday during our coaching session. Then your boss says something on Tuesday that challenges your confidence. And then your kid gets sick on Wednesday and you are completely thrown off. And then by Thursday, you've convinced yourself that your business idea is terrible and this will never work. So weekly coaching helps us catch those moments, those low points, those shifts before they become weeks of inaction. So let me talk a little bit about what we do in those sessions. And this is the fun part. Now, here's what surprises a lot of people when they come into coaching, especially when working with a business coach. The first 2 sessions that I spend with my moms aren't about building your business at all. Sometimes the first 3 months aren't about building the business, which I'll talk about one of my favorite clients in a couple of minutes. But the first 2 sessions especially are about building you. The very first thing I teach is the self-coaching model. It's a tool that I'm trained on. I learned through the life coach school where I received one of my certifications. It helps you understand your thinking because your thoughts always either support the results you want to create or they don't. And during that first session, we apply it to real situations happening in your life. So things that are bringing up resentment or overwhelm or self-doubt, situations where you're afraid or frustrated. Almost immediately in that first session, clients begin seeing themselves differently. They start seeing their circumstances differently. They start seeing their work differently. They start seeing their company differently, which lightens so many loads. They start seeing their partner differently, their kids differently, their boss differently. It is truly life-changing in just 1 hour. And for so long, I believed that feelings were just things that happen to us. And you might be on that same train. Learning how our thoughts actually create so many of those feelings completely changed my life. It's one of the most empowering tools I've ever learned. And if you want to dig in a little bit deeper on that actual tool and what it means to actually manage your mind, check out episode 8 because I go into mind management as the most powerful tool that you can use and the most powerful strategy in building your business. So that's what we do in session 1. I teach the tool. You have this new way of looking at the world. You have this new language that you can speak. You have this new awareness of your thoughts. And then session 2 is all about taking back control of your time. I teach a planning system that helps moms organize everything that's floating around in their minds, everything that feels unmanageable and heavy and overwhelming. And I've created a system and I teach that system that actually works to make the impossible manageable. Not because your kids suddenly stop needing things, not because your partner magically starts helping more, but because you're working with the life you actually have and you now have a system to do it all. Just a couple episodes, I interviewed Zara and we talked a lot about the mental load. That is a must listen to. Episode 111. I loved our conversation. So once you are seeing things a little bit differently, you're seeing yourself differently, you have an actual tangible tool to do that, And then once you are also creating more time for yourself, when you're optimizing your time, when you have this long list of all the things that you need to do that has been weighing you down, and you actually start having a plan to accomplish those things, life changes. Countless times, almost every client will come to me after those first 2 sessions and say, this is life changing already. Those first 2 sessions give you tools you'll use for the rest of coaching and honestly, for the rest of your life. Even if you never started a business, those tools would make you a calmer parent. They'd make you a better planner, a more organized timekeeper, and someone who feels far more in control of their life. So once those foundations are in place, we start building your business. Well, maybe. Every coaching session balances 2 things. The first is helping you move your business forward. So sometimes that's strategies. Sometimes we're developing your offer. We're working through pricing and the discomfort of charging people and asking for money. Sometimes we're figuring out your next steps, who to talk to in your network, what industry to tap into, what businesses to partner with. That's really cut and dry business coaching and business strategy. But the second piece that we are balancing is just as important. Every coaching session is also a space for whatever you need that week. If you had a fight with your teenager, we're going to talk about that. If your boss completely derailed your confidence, we're going to talk about that. If you and your partner got into one of those little, what my neighbor calls bickerments, which I love that word. I've never heard of it. The little bickerments that somehow ruin your entire day, we're going to talk about that too. Nothing is off limits. And when we do talk about these things, you are going to see them differently, think about them differently, and feel better by the end of the 1 hour together, no matter what and where the conversation takes us. Because mental drama anywhere in your life takes away from your energy for building your business. My job as a coach is to point out blind spots. My job as a coach is to have you feeling better so that you take different actions that lead to the results that you want. Sometimes I'll point out things for clients, and this happens quite often, which is just funny. I'll point things out and they'll tell me, "You're so smart." And I always have a little giggle because honestly, I tell them the answers are already there. It was right in front of you. You just can't see it because fear and overwhelm or mental drama or self-judgment are blocking it. My job as a coach isn't to have all the answers, and I don't have all the answers. My job is to help you see what's already there that you might be overlooking. And for every client, it's different. The path, the 6 months together, they all share similar themes. I'm usually coaching on very similar aspects, but it's always different. With one client recently, we spent the first 3 months talking about no business. We were talking entirely about resentment she was feeling. We were talking about motherhood challenges. She had a 3 and a 1-year-old. We were talking about work, where she felt super underappreciated, and we were talking about her marriage. Little things that were adding up and creating a lot of problems. And at one point, she apologized. She said, "I feel so bad. I feel like we're never going to get to the business." And I told her we are. Because if everything in your life feels incredibly heavy, you're not going to build your best business. Fast forward 3 months towards the end of coaching, and she was positioned to replace her income with a business that didn't even exist when we started coaching. That wouldn't have happened if we rushed into building the business before truly empowering her in all these other areas of her life. It's important that in conjunction with building the business, we make sure that we are building you. We are making sure that you are stepping into the identity of somebody who can operate this business. There isn't a script. There isn't a blueprint. Every mom is different and every business is different. And the coaching meets you exactly where you are. So another thing I hear often is, I don't know if I'm ready for coaching because I don't have fill in the blanks, right? I don't have the idea. I don't have the clients. I don't have the time. The coaching meets you where you are. Coaching fills the gap no matter what. If you're feeling like you're not ready for coaching because you don't have clients, coaching is the cheat code to help you get clients. If you feel like you're not ready because you don't have time, coaching fills that gap. The cheat code is learning the tools and the mindset shifts that you need to be more efficient, more effective, to delegate, to put on your calendar the things you need to get done. Coaching is going to meet you exactly where you are, and we're going to solve the problems that are getting in the way, the problems that are most loud first, so that the building the business part becomes smooth. One other piece of logistics that is so fun, and actually caveat for all of this, like as a business owner, one of the beautiful things is you get to decide what things look like in your business. You get to decide your offers. You get to make decisions, and you can change your business at any time. And it's a beautiful, empowering thing that you have at your disposal. So everything I'm talking about now, if you're catching this podcast years after it goes live, you might want to check in and see what the offers look like and how I'm operating. But right now, at the time of this recording, one of the most fun and exciting parts of the program, and this is only a year old, is that there's a group coaching element. So all of my one-on-one clients who get the weekly coaching sessions with me, weekly 1 hour of just diving into what you need as a human being and what you need as a mom and what you need as a business owner. There's also a group coaching element where you come together with a community of moms, all of my other clients, and you talk about what's going on. You share wins, you get coaching on the hard stuff and the obstacles. That space is so powerful. There are not many spaces that are designed for truly ambitious moms that are starting businesses and are working in their 9 to 5 or currently in a stay-at-home mom role and doing all the things from this place of really just wanting to build something of their own and a desire to start a business and create a life they love. There's not many groups out there that are exclusive to moms doing that. And the weekly group coaching session that I offer is all about that. My moms get to know each other. They support each other. Sometimes I'm just amazed and surprised by how much they support each other, how much I don't even have to do in those sessions because they know what to say as well. So I just love that. And that's an additional layer of support. It's not required, but every week we have 1 hour where we come together and really feel that sense of community and motherhood together. I wanted to make sure I said that because that is one of the most fun elements of coaching. I also have brought in experts, marketing experts, energy workers to talk to my clients as well in that group setting, which is really fun. Okay, before we wrap up, I also want to touch on another question that I get a lot, which is how do I know if I need coaching or therapy? And this is such an important question. I have my master's in counseling psychology and spent the first part of my career working in a dual diagnosis clinic. So I'm a huge advocate for therapy. If you're experiencing depression, anxiety, trauma, panic attacks, or emotions that are making it difficult to function day to day, therapy is probably the best place to start. That's not what I do. I am not a licensed therapist. Coaching is for the mom who's functioning. She shows up to work. She's taking care of her family. She's doing all the things. And she just knows she's capable of more. There's a gap she wants to fill. Like she's feeling stuck. She wants change. And she just doesn't know how to create it. Many of my clients are also in therapy. The two complement each other beautifully. Therapy helps you process and heal, and coaching really helps you grow and level up and close any of the smaller gaps in your life that could take you from being fine to being amazing. And I promise too that if you are unsure about which one is best for you, there's 2 things I would say. The first is there's no harm in having a conversation with a therapist or with a coach. Both would likely give you more insights and tell you which direction to go. Hopefully they would do that. I know I would do that in the consultation that I have with folks. That's number 1. Number 2, I would say just get started. Do one, do both. Take action in that way. If you think that therapy is the next step, call up a therapist and have an introductory conversation. If you think coaching is the next step, take action. Don't indulge in confusion around which is the best route. Both of these routes are going to move you forward in some way, shape, or form because you are going to be supported. Pick one and take action and get supported. Speaking of getting supported, if you've been listening to this episode and thinking, I have some gaps that I want to fill. I kind of think I'm capable of more. I would love to feel better. I just don't know where to start. Please, please, please don't wait until next January or 6 months to start taking action. You don't have to have the perfect business idea. You don't have to be completely confident or feel ready or have everything figured out, right? You just have to be willing to take the next step, willing to start the conversation. That's exactly why I offer free consultations. I've talked about it on this podcast before. It's an opportunity for us to sit down together, talk about where you are, where you want to go, what's getting in the way, and whether coaching is the right fit for you. Sometimes that next step is coaching. Sometimes it's therapy. Sometimes it's something completely different that I will recommend. Sometimes it's just giving yourself permission to believe that the idea, the business idea, or the life that you can't stop thinking about deserves your attention. I've had moms come to that call. They've been moms who've listened to the podcast, they've binged it. And in that conversation, in that 1 hour, they moved their business idea forward more than they had in the entire months or years that they had been noodling on it. Some of these moms do not even end up signing up for coaching. They just take the wisdom and the coaching from that consultation and from our conversation together, and they use it as momentum. They use it as motivation. And I love it. I love when moms reach back out to me after that consultation and say, hey, I actually signed my first client. Like I'm actually doing the thing. So if you've been coaching curious, I'd love to meet you. You can schedule that free consultation using the link in the show notes, jenna.coach/112, and schedule 1 hour with me. Let's talk about it. I'll also answer any other questions, anything that's still lingering about coaching and what I do with clients and what that looks like. If this episode gave you a better understanding of what coaching actually looks like, if this episode inspired you in any way to take action, I hope you'll do me a quick favor and follow the podcast wherever you're listening. It absolutely helps more moms find these conversations, and it means you won't miss future episodes, future resources, future events, and future opportunities that are designed to help you build a life and career that feels like yours. Okay. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I know you don't have much of it, but through coaching, we change that. I guarantee you. All right, moms, I'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of How to Quit Your Job, a mom's guide to creating a life and business you love. If you want to learn more about how I can help you stop making excuses and start making moves, head on over to www.jenna.coach. I'll see you next week.